If you are of working age like me, and most of your entertainment comes from watching series or movies, then you have probably watched Jujutsu Kaisen. A lot of the characters feel very anime, fun to watch, but a little far from real life. But there is one character who feels too relatable, a character you do not just watch, but immediately recognize. His name is Kento Nanami. Nanami is one of the characters that made the uncle or Oji-san feel so cool and central to the story, not as a side character, but as someone whose way of living actually matters, and we care about his story. Nanami represents something painfully familiar, the feeling that everything you do is technically fine, yet somehow empty. Nanami became a Jujutsu sorcerer because he genuinely believed the work mattered. If someone had to deal with curses, then at the very least, it should be done responsibly. During this time, he works alongside Haibara, someone more optimistic, more hopeful, the kind of person who still believes effort alone can fix things. That belief ends when Haibara dies. Nanami fails to save him, and the loss does not turn into anger or despair. It turns into something quieter, a realization that staying in this world means accepting a level of responsibility he no longer wants to carry, and it hurts too much. So Nanami quits. He admits this later. Someone has to do it. He just did not want to be that person anymore, and that decision is where everything else begins. After quitting Jujutsu, Nanami does what a lot of people do when they want stability. He enters corporate life, the job pays well, he wears a clean suit, the hours are long, and on the surface, everything looks correct. This is what a responsible adult life is supposed to look like. But internally, he feels worse than before. There is a flashback that captures this perfectly. On his way to work, Nanami stops by a bakery. The woman behind the counter makes small talk, and he barely responds. He is simply not there, already tired, already disconnected, even before the day begins. At work, though, something interesting happens. His boss pushes aggressive and unethical selling, and Nanami pushes back. He trains a junior employee carefully and insists on treating clients fairly. This contrast matters. Even in a life that feels empty, his sense of right and wrong has not disappeared. It is just being forced into a place where it does not belong. Viktor Frankl once said that meaning is not something we chase, but something we respond to. In simple terms, meaning shows up when something or someone actually needs you. Nanami's job does not need him in that way. It pays him, but it does not depend on him. And that is why, despite doing everything right, the work feels empty. During his time in corporate life, Nanami still notices cursed activity around him. He knows what it is, and he knows he could deal with it. But he chooses not to. Getting involved would pull him back into a responsibility he already decided to leave behind. Nanami tells himself that this phase of his life is temporary. He just needs to earn enough money. Once he reaches a certain number, he can quit, retire early, and finally be free. It is a comforting idea. Endure now, live later. But this kind of thinking comes with a quiet problem. Life keeps getting postponed. Every day becomes something to get through rather than something to live. Nanami works longer hours, pushes his body harder, and slowly ruins his health, all in service of a future that never quite arrives. Albert Camus described this as the absurd. You recognize that the system you are in will not fulfill you, yet you keep participating anyway, hoping the reward at the end will make it worth it. Nanami understands the emptiness of this life, but he stays, because walking away again would mean admitting that the sacrifice was for nothing. The moment that changed his mind happened at a bakery. Nanami encounters a curse there, and this time he does not walk away. He starts thinking about the place itself. The bakery is small, ordinary, but it clearly matters to the people who run it and the people who come every day. Nanami compares that to his own job. If this bakery were gone, someone would be hurt in a direct, obvious way. If he disappeared from his corporate job, nothing would really change. The work would continue, the company would move on, and no one would notice. That contrast makes something clear to him, so he exorcises the curse. The baker thanks him simply and sincerely, and that is enough. Viktor Frankl believed that meaning often shows up through responsibility, through being useful to others in a real way, where he is needed. For Nanami, this small act makes something clear, a reason to show up that actually affects someone else. So Nanami returns to Jujutsu society without any illusions. He does not come back because he believes the system has improved. He is still openly critical of how sorcerers are treated, how overtime is normalized, and how young people are sent into danger with very little support. Even after returning, he constantly complains about working conditions, and that honesty never disappears. What changes is not the job, but how he understands it. Nanami realizes that meaning does not come from liking what you do. It comes from choosing something that matches your values, even when it is uncomfortable. This is why he accepts tasks that put him at risk, why he takes responsibility for younger sorcerers, and why he pushes people like Yuji to think seriously about the cost of their choices. He is not inspiring them with hope. He is teaching them realism. Philosophically, this is close to what Viktor Frankl described as choosing responsibility over escape. Nanami gives up the idea of a future where everything will finally be easy. He stops living for an imagined retirement and commits to the present instead. That's what adults do. The work is still heavy, but it is honest work, and that honesty is what allows him to keep going, even in a world that never becomes fair. When Nanami faces death, what stands out is not courage or sacrifice. It is the fact that he does not regret the way he lived. He does not think about the easier path he could have taken or the safer life he left behind. Nanami already tried the easy life. It paid well, it was stable, and it left him empty. What he chose instead was not comfort, but honesty. Nanami's story shows that meaning is rarely something dramatic or impressive. It is usually small, unglamorous, and immediate. It comes from doing work that actually affects someone else, even if that impact is limited. He did not save the world. Most of the time, he just showed up and did his job properly. But that was enough, because it aligned with what he believed mattered. That is why his story connects to real life. You are not being asked to become a hero or make a massive change overnight. The question is much simpler than that. When something in your life clearly needs you, and you know it matters, will you step toward it or keep postponing it? Nanami's life suggests that meaning does not wait for the perfect moment. It asks now, and whether or not you respond is the choice that stays with you. Nanami resonates so strongly with adult audiences because he represents a stage of life many people quietly reach. The point where you are no longer confused, no longer chasing big dreams, but still feel an underlying emptiness. You are doing what you are supposed to do. You are functioning, and yet something feels off. Nanami puts a face to that feeling. Viktor Frankl helps explain why. He believed that meaning comes from responsibility, from being needed in a real and concrete way. Nanami's corporate life removes that. He is replaceable, detached, and disconnected from the outcome of his work. When he returns to Jujutsu, nothing becomes easier, but his actions start to matter again. That is why the exhaustion feels different. It has a reason behind it. Camus adds another layer. Nanami understands that the system is broken and unfair, and he never pretends otherwise. But instead of escaping into fantasy or waiting for a better future, he chooses to act within reality as it is. That honesty is what makes him feel real to adults. He does not promise happiness. He shows a way to live without lying to yourself, and that is why so many people see themselves in him. I might be wrong about Nanami, so if you relate to him for a different reason, tell me in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what part of his story hit you the hardest. And if there's another character you think reflects adult life this well, let me know who should be next. If you enjoyed this kind of breakdown, you can support the channel by liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications. Thank you for watching. Seriously.